Hello! So today I'd like to talk a little bit about how I'm studying Hanja, which are Chinese characters as used in Korean. So before Koreans used Hangul as their writing system, they used to use Chinese characters. And not only that, but a lot of words in Korean are borrowed from Chinese. So when you know the Hanja, you can tend to figure out some more complex words even if you've never heard the word before. For example, the word yungnu in Korean is made of the character yuk, which means meat, and ryu, which means kind of like a group. And so basically, if you know that, then you can put together that yungnu is a more complicated word for kogi, which is meat. And kogi is the native Korean word. Yungnu is the Sino-Korean word. And it's not used as often as kogi, so it can be harder to learn those kinds of more advanced words. And it's important to know those kinds of words if you want to, for example, watch Korean news. They tend to use more advanced words, and sometimes they actually use the actual Chinese characters too. And if you want to score a high level on the topic, they tend to use more advanced, less common words on the topic as well. So another benefit of studying Hanja is that they're Chinese characters. So other Asian countries use Chinese characters. So, and the meaning of the characters are the same in all the countries, just the pronunciation is different. So if you learn Hanja, you'll know the meaning of the word and you'll know the Korean pronunciation. If you go to China, for example, you might not know how to speak Chinese because you won't know the Chinese pronunciation, but you'll at least be able to read it. You'll be able to read menus and read signs and navigate the city using your Korean knowledge of Chinese characters. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, now I'll get into how I'm studying Hanja. And I've only recently started studying for it's been like a month now or so, and not every day, just sometimes I do like one character a day and I don't even really remember them that well. But anyway, I started with a book. This book, it is 천자문 따라쓰기. And this book is a book meant for Korean people who want to learn Hanja. So if you look on the inside, all of it is in Korean, first of all, because it's meant for Koreans. And it gives you 4 characters per page. And it shows you the, if you look right underneath the character, first is the Korean meaning, so the equivalent. Second is the Korean pronunciation. And then pilsun is the stroke order. And above that, 쓰임 is just some other words that use that character. And so one of the nice things about this textbook is that, it shows you sort of everything, the stroke order, the Korean meaning, and the pronunciation. So you don't really have to use other resources. The problem with this book is that it doesn't really show you characters in order of the most used. So you start off learning some kind of obscure, not as commonly used characters in the beginning. But eventually you will learn all the commonly used characters if you do the entire book. And I think it's called 천자문 because it has 1,000 characters in here, so I think it teaches you 1,000 characters. So the next resource that I've only recently started using, it's just been like 2 weeks or so because I recently discovered this one. It is ABCs of Chinese, and it's a website, and you can use it on your phone too. That's usually how I use it. And this website is actually aimed for Chinese learners. So there is no Korean pronunciation here. It has only the Chinese pronunciation. But the reason why I like this app is because it teaches you components, not necessarily, so it teaches you the characters. Some of them are characters as well, but what it focuses on is teaching you components of characters. So the most commonly seen, the most commonly used parts of characters. And so each of these components have meanings that when they put them together to make bigger, more complex characters, you can sort of pick apart the meaning based off of all the components if you know the meanings of each of the individual components. And so that's the reason why I like this. And it's free for the first month and for the first 30 components, and after that you have to pay a monthly fee, but I don't remember how much it is because I'm still on my free trial. But when it comes time to pay for it, I will pay for it because I do really like it. So when you go in the learning mode, first you guess what the component looks like, and after that you do a little quiz. You can show the component evolution to see kind of how it started and how the character came to be. And you take the quiz, and then you do a listening quiz, and the listening quiz is Chinese. So if you are learning Chinese by chance, then I do also highly recommend this app because I am not learning Chinese at all, but because I've been listening to these Chinese pronunciation, the quiz, because you can skip it, but I like to listen to it just because the Korean pronunciation is based from the Chinese pronunciation, so they tend to be pretty similar, and I like to hear kind of how the Korean pronunciation was derived from the Chinese pronunciation. But anyway, I do recommend this app if you are actually learning Chinese, because I have already started to get a really good sense of the tones in Chinese, even though I'm not even trying. But when I'm listening to it, and when you first do the listening quiz, you hear the actual sound, and then you hear the sound in each of the 4 tones, and I usually end up saying it like along with the recording, just because it's very interesting to me to like, oh, this is the high tone and this is the low tone. And I don't know, it's just pretty fun for me to casually learning Chinese tones, I guess.
山山闪闪闪山
Anyway, and then after that you can do some you see how the character is written, and then you do some practice. The thing that I don't like about this app is I don't feel like you practice writing the character enough. If you look in the Chonjamun Darasugi book, you'll see that there are lots of spaces to practice writing. So because there's no space in this book, then my next resource is this. One Kaji Note. It's a Korean gridded paper where each box you write one character. So I've been using this for note taking, so I keep track of all the components I've learning, and I also use this for writing practice. So after I learn the Chinese character components from the app or from the website, I then go in my notebook and I practice writing it 10 times. And the last resource I use is a Hanja dictionary, which I use Naver Hanja dictionary. And I use this one because when I use the ABCs of Chinese, it only gives you the Chinese pronunciation, but I'm learning Korean and I want the Korean pronunciation. So what I do is I go to Naver Hanja dictionary and I write the character, and then I get the pronunciation. And that's basically all I've been doing. So if you want to use just one resource, like pay for one thing, I do recommend ABCs of Chinese over the book that I have, because I just feel like it's more useful to learn the components and in order of frequency, and instead of kind of randomly how the Korean book does it. But either way is pretty good. And also a thing to note is, while I do kind of want to remember the Chinese characters, like the actual pictographs, I don't focus too much on that. What I really focus on is remembering the Korean meaning and the Korean pronunciation of the words. Because if I hear a word that has one of the Korean pronunciation Chinese characters that I know, then that's more important to me than actually remembering what the character looks like. So I don't focus as much on that. So yeah, that's it basically. I hope this was helpful for anybody who is interested in learning Hanja. I do only recommend doing this when you reach like a pretty good level in Korean, because it's really not that necessary in the beginning. If you're a beginner learner, do not learn Hanja. Definitely learn Hangul first, and then you can move on to Hanja later on if you're interested in learning, in expanding your vocabulary and learning some more complex words. So anyway, that was it. I hope this was helpful for you. Good luck with your studies, and goodbye.